Hey everyone, I'm Danny and welcome to Muggle Magic. You haven't seen that intro for a while. Some of you might be confused by it. My channel used to be Muggle Magic, but I changed it to Wizardry Workshop to appease the overlords. But this is a Throwback Thursday video, back from the Muggle Magic days. I decided to go back, dig up some of my old projects, and we're gonna start doing some Throwback Thursdays where I just completely redo an old project, because I know with the experience I have now, I can do a lot better. I'm a lot better at prop making, so that's what we're doing today. And we're doing Bertie Bott's Every Flavor Beans. The original one was pretty basic, but this one, I am going all out. I'm doing gold foil, I'm doing a tassel on top. We're also doing a Cricut cut guide so that you can just get this cut out. You don't have to do it by hand unless you want to, because there's templates for like all the different types of things that you want to do. We'll go over those in a bit, but go ahead and check out the description box below for a list of all the things you're going to need to make this DIY, as well as the free downloadable templates. And let's get started. First, of course, you need to download and print the templates. I'm going to gold foil this, which is why you don't see any of the stuff that will be foiled. But there are several different variations of this file, so I'm going to just go ahead and show you the differences between the old one and the updated version.
This is the old, and this is the new one. So some of you are going to see those differences just by me doing this, and it's not just Muggle Magic replaced by Wizardry Workshop. Let's zoom in just a little bit. I want you to see the details here. So here's the old one. Check out the shading on her face and also some of the line work here. Now, if I show you the new one, you can see how much more clean these lines are and how much cleaner the shading is. It's pretty much night and day if you ask me. And also, if you're not foiling this, I have a much better foiling texture on here that you can print rather than that. I think this looks a lot better than that. So, you know, I think after having several more years of experience creating prop replicas, I think I have done a much better job on this one. It's not only that though, the old one, all we had was this, but now we have bleed area on here. And I also have a version that has jelly beans already printed on it. So now you're not going to have to worry about getting jelly beans if you're just using this for display. So this is going to work with a Cricut cut shape right here, as you can see. So if you have a Cricut or any other die cutting machine, I'm using Cricut, so those are the settings I'm going to go over in this video. But yeah, it's basically going to cut out this shape, which is going to be the perfect shape for your Bertie Bott's box. Not only that, but I'm also doing foiling. So right here is the foil only.
So once you pick the file you want and you print it out, if you're foiling it, print this on an inkjet printer, and then there's another file called foil only. So this is going to need to be printed on top of this print. But this will need to be printed with a laser printer. So the first print was inkjet for the main design, and then the foil is printed with a laser printer on top of it. It would be super rare if you had two printers that printed exactly the same spot as each other. There's always like a little bit of a difference of alignment, a little bit of calibration difference. So you might end up with something like this your first time, which I did. This was actually an issue with the file, which I fixed, but you could see something maybe even this drastic where it's just not lining up where it's supposed to be. I'm going to show you how to fix that. First of all, we're going to need a light table, and we also have this print, which is just a test print. There are different parts of this video where you're going to see me use this. Print this exactly like you would this one on your inkjet printer. Then print this exactly like you would on your laser printer. Then we can turn on the light here, and this makes it really easy to line things up. And then all you got to do is go over to the corner here where the pages overlap and make a little mark outlining the corner part. So in the end, we have this little mark on the corner. Now we just have to measure how far over and down, or whichever way it's off, So mine needs to shift to the left by 1/4 of an inch, and then it needs to shift down by a little over 1/8 of an inch. And then we pull this file into Photoshop, and we're going to actually scoot this over and down in Photoshop and then resave it as our custom aligned version of this file. Now when you put those two together and you print it on top, it should line up almost perfectly. You can see the darker black there where it's lined up. This is optional, but I also have another file called Box Inside, and it looks like this. It's just black. And this is actually going to be printed on the other side if you want to foil the inside of your box, which I do, so that's what I'm doing. If you're not doing the bleed, you can just use scissors and cut off all the white. If you are doing the file with bleed, there are a couple ways you can do it. You could use this file, use your light table to line it up, and then cut around the outside and these windows. The way that I'm doing it is with a Cricut die cutting machine.
I'm going to show you how to use my Cricut templates. It's the same throughout any project I do. This is how I do it. So if we go over here into Cricut Design Space, and if you go to my profile, you'll find a shared project called My Cricut Position. I'll also have the Bertie Bots project loaded up in here too, but I'm going to show you how to do it if for some reason that's not available. So we'll open up My Cricut Position and then choose Customize. The only thing you're going to see is a tiny little square in the corner here. And this is pushing whatever we're going to do right now over a little bit and down a little bit, because for some reason, if you put any blank space onto the mat here, Cricut ignores it and shoves everything over to the edge and top. So this is there to help it cut in exactly the right spot that we want. So let's head back over into Cricut Design Space. We've got My Cricut Position. Then you will choose Upload. And I've already uploaded mine here, but you would upload image. But this is it. And I'm going to add to canvas. And now as you can see, it's gigantic. It's not the right size. If you've tried to use my templates in the past, you've probably noticed this. But there's also a text file included with the download that has the size and position that Cricut needs. So all we have to do is go to width. We're going to copy that. And then we will paste it in the width. And as long as this lock is here, the height is going to auto fill. So if we do that, tab over, now it's the right size. And then we just have to get it in the right position. And again, we just go over here. It's 0.27 and 0.62. So I'm going to put 0.27, 0.62. Now it should be in the exact right size and position for cutting this. The next thing we're going to do in here is really important in order for this to cut right. So select everything. That's the shape that we're cutting plus that little square in the corner. And then you want to click over down in the bottom right where it says attach. So we've attached that. And now it's ready to go. So you can save this as whatever you want up here and then go ahead and click make and do what you would normally do to cut this out with your Cricut. Why am I not using the print then cut feature, which I don't even know if it's still on here anymore. I didn't see it. I never use it because it requires you to print a border around your image that you're wanting to cut out. And this is just too big. There's no room for that border around there. So a lot of times in a lot of the projects that I do, there's just no room to print that. So I've got to figure out a way to line things up properly. So that's why I do it this way.
We got to put our template down on this sticky Cricut cutting mat, and then we can just feed it in here, and as long as you have everything set up, we can start cutting. And then you can just lift this off. Sometimes parts will come off on the sticky mat, and that's okay. But anything that didn't come off on the sticky mat, we can just separate apart gently. And if it feels like it's not cut quite enough, feel free to use an X-Acto knife or something to finish the cut. We should be right here. You can see where we're going to foil it. And on this side, you can see I'm foiling the entire inside. For this, we'll use a Mink foiling machine. Pretty sure you can do the same thing with a laminator, but this machine was made specifically for this, so I kind of trust it more than a laminator. And I turn my heat up to 2. While that heats up, we are going to need one of these folders. This is basically the same thing that you would have with a laminator. It's just that protective plastic folder. And we'll need some heat-activated gold foil. We are going to foil both sides at the same time. So basically, we need a piece of foil that'll cover up the entire bottom of this. And then we also need another strip that will cover up where we want to foil on the front. You don't have to be as liberal as I'm being with this. I just want to make sure everything gets covered. But you can cut off strips that are, more to size if you want. And now with that done, we can start feeding this through the Mink foiling machine. Or, as I said, I think it probably works in the laminator too. As you can see, it's going to start pulling it through. And when it comes out the other side, we can open up the folder and we should have some really nice foiling on here. The inside looks really nice, and here's the front. At this point, I'm going to make a couple of cuts in here so that we can fold this box up right. So one of them goes from this little part right up to here. So it's just a little cut like that. And basically anywhere we have these little quote-unquote feet is what I'll call them, that's where we want to cut in toward the box. So now we just have these little kind of triangular feet pieces. So scoring this is optional, but definitely recommended. I have my Cricut scoring tool, but you can use any scoring tool you want. And I'm just going to use a ruler and this tool to do some score lines before we fold, because it's going to look a lot better with these lines. So I'm doing it on the side that is gold because I don't want to get any blemishes and stuff on the other side. So this is the side I'm working with. And I'm just going to go ahead and score in between each one of those cuts that I made here to make these feet. But I don't want to score on top of the feet, just between each cut, basically. I'm just going to do a score here and another one here and another one here and then the last one right here. So we've just scored in between each one of those little V cuts. Then we want to line up and score across the top part where these inner points meet, and then I'll just score all the way across. Next, I'll score on the edge where this flap is. We just want to score right there. And then the last score marks I'm going to make are from the point of one of these to the point of those little V lines that I made. So I'm going to do one here, here, and then we'll do a final one on this very last one. So now we should have some nice scoring in there for folding this. We'll fold the flap in toward this inside. We will fold all of these little bottom parts up toward the inside as well. Then we'll fold all the top points toward the inside as well. And then finally we can make these folds on the sides. And then from here you can see how this box sort of comes together. So I had started going ahead, in case you see there's some tape and stuff here. Don't worry about that. I almost forgot to put the windows in. So if we don't put those in, the jelly beans will fall out. For these windows, I am going to use some plastic that I have left over from packaging of things that I buy. Bonus points for somebody who can tell me what this used to have in it. I'm just going to use some scissors to cut this out and sort of just eyeball the measurements. So with my 4 little window panels cut out, I'm going to use some hot glue. Just a little bit, not huge globs, just a little bit all over the edges of my window panels. And then I can glue it right on to the inside. So now our windows should be all glued in. I'm going to use some double-sided tape to get this put together because I feel like that's really all you need. First, put some tape all the way down this flap, and then you can fold the edges in if it overlaps to the outside. Fold this around, line everything up, and we can just press that down. The part that folds in first on the bottom is this piece. I am also going to put some double-sided tape where it kind of juts out like that. And then I can fold that edge down here like that. And then the other side I can also fold down. And then this last piece right here is going to fold in and tuck like this. And then you can use something like a pencil or a marker or something, get in there and reinforce where you had put the tape. And now we've got this really cool looking foiled Bertie Bott's box. The entire inside is foiled. That just looks so premium. So this next part is optional. I just think that's a lot of jelly beans to fill this up. So I've got some foam I'm gonna put in the bottom of this so that the bottom is kind of like taken up by the foam and I can put the jelly beans on top. That way I don't have to put so many jelly beans inside. So it's just a couple pieces of foam. I measured it out. It should be just about the right height to not be visible through the windows at the bottom there. And I'm just gonna hot glue these two together. And by the way, the foam is just from stuff I bought that had foam with it. I save basically everything because I know there's a use for it and it doesn't just need to be thrown away. So I'll just toss that right in there, and you can't see it at all through the windows, especially with the jelly beans on top. You won't be able to see it at all. Now, the very best thing that you can actually put in this box is actual Bertie Bott's beans, so I'll link those in the description. But another option is Bean Boozled, which is really cool too, and it's got a little game with it, so that, I don't know, makes it a little bit more fun if you ask me. I've got some Bean Boozled. I actually got 2 boxes because I didn't think this would be enough. Dump them in. And even with that foam in there, it doesn't quite fill it up. Maybe a little bit more than half. You can see them through the windows though, so I mean, I'm happy with that. I suggest keeping the box and probably the spinner just because like that just makes these even more fun. And also you will know what the flavors are that you're eating. So that's shaping up to be a pretty decent Bertie Bott's replica, but we're not done yet. Because in the movie, this thing has a tassel hanging off the top of it. Harry kind of like rips it off the top of there to open the box in the Hogwarts Express. So we're gonna make a tassel. For this, I'm using some red embroidery thread. We're gonna pull out double the length of this. It could be more too, it doesn't matter because we're gonna trim it down. So we'll just go ahead and trim that off. And then we'll grab another length of thread. And this one is going to go through here. So if you kind of like pull the embroidery thread over, you can see through there. I'm just gonna put this one right through the middle there. And then I'm gonna tie it off with a knot. So now we just have the embroidery thread with this piece, which is tied onto the top of it. Now we're gonna take that longer thread, and if you've seen my potion bottle DIYs, sometimes I wrap the twine around the potion. It's basically going to be the same thing. We're gonna take one end and make a little kind of U shape or loop, and then we're going to place that right here on the edge, and then the shorter end we're going to hold there, while the longer end we're going to start wrapping around the thread. We'll wrap it around a few times, kind of moving down this thread as we go, so it's not all just being wrapped right in the same spot. And then once you feel like you have enough wrapped around there, the last time we go around, you'll take the end of what you've been wrapping around and put it through that little loop right there that we've been holding on to, and just pull it through that loop. And now we have 2 ends we can sort of pull. So pull on the bottom one first to get that loop sort of disappeared under the thread, and then you can pull on both to tighten them up. Now as for this top thing, you could thread it through here and thread it down with a needle so that it kind of seamlessly disappears into the whole thing. I'm just going to cut it off right there, and then we can pull this down, and I'm just going to cut the tassel off right about here so that everything is nice and flush. Put a knot in the top thread of the tassel right there. Trim that down. There we go. We have one red tassel. The idea for that tassel is to attach to the top of the box and then hang off to the side like that. I watched that scene over and over, and you can see Harry just take the tassel and pull it, and it sort of ripped something that was holding it shut. And to me, it looked like a gold seal of some kind that was over the top of this, keeping it closed. So I got myself some of this gold washi tape, which, you know, washi tape is really easy to remove and stuff. It's not gonna damage the design at all if you pull it off. So I just need 2 small strips of this. I'm gonna say maybe about 1.5 inches or so is where I'm going to cut that. Cut this lengthwise in half. And now I have 2 nice little strips of golden washi tape. So I'm gonna put one side on the top like this. The tips are gonna touch, and then I'm going to put it down the other side like that. And we're gonna do that on both sides, but at this point I would like to take the tassel and sort of tie it on to this middle part. Keep the knot a little bit loose, but now, so the tassel is tied on there, and I'll use the other side of the washi tape to sort of cross over and tape the whole thing closed. So now we have it sealed at the top with that golden washi tape. We got gold foil on there. We've got a tassel, and we even have edible Bertie Bot style jelly beans inside. Here's the final look at the brand new Bertie Bot's Every Flavor Beans project. I think this looks so good. I love the foiling on it. I know that the movie prop wasn't actually foiled, but it should have been, if you ask me. And I love the gold tape up here to seal it off with this tassel. It looks great. To me, it looks pretty much just like the movie prop. Let me know what you guys think of this project in the comments below. If you made it all the way to the end of the video with me, you're a wizard. Give it a thumbs up down below if you did like this video, and subscribe if you're not subscribed for more Harry Potter DIYs, unboxings, and other magical content like that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.